All right, so today we're going to be chatting about overcoming mental health struggles of entrepreneurship. So I'm just going to share a little bit about my story. I'm also going to share a little bit about the power of your story. And then a few things that I wanted to dive into is what is your why and why I feel that's so important. And then also having a daily practice. This has been something that's been like so essential to my personal development, and I'll talk more about that. But this would specifically be like a daily mindfulness practice. And then the three things that I would say that have been the biggest catalyst to me being able to survive mentally on this entrepreneurship journey has been accountability, permission, and community. So those are the three things that I'm going to tap into as well. So the mission that I'm on, for those that don't know me, again, my name is Chaz Bademan, and I partner with entrepreneurs and creatives to grow their brand online using video, proven marketing systems, and community so they can thrive doing what they love. So my background really is in corporate and being a creative, and then the past 3 years I've been obsessed with trying to figure out how can people be creative and do what they love and be financially thriving. So that's the mission that I'm on. And why I'm on that mission. A big piece of it is because I truly believe that your story matters. And I believe by you sharing your story authentically and vulnerably, you will inspire and help others. And I feel so called to partner with people who want to pursue their passions and make a living doing what they love. And I think this is really important because by sharing our stories, we make other people feel less alone. We can make people feel empowered. And by vulnerably opening up and sharing our stories, we can help people feel seen and that they're not the only one that's experiencing what they're going through. So a little bit about my story, and I've been doing a lot of these workshops lately, and when I watch the recordings back, one of my goals of this section of my presentation is for me to be more concise and get through this a little bit quicker, because I can tend to ramble, and I know some of you have heard my story before, but for those that haven't, I just want to tell you a little bit about my story, and then we'll dive into what I hope will be of value for you. And I hope that me sharing my story, can resonate with you in some way or help you in some way as well. So I've been a full-time creative entrepreneur for the last 2.5 years, and that was after spending 10 years in corporate tech at Vanguard. So I worked at the financial firm Vanguard, where I was project managing $50 million initiatives, building SaaS platforms, cloud modernizations. I was as deep as you could get into the tech space, working with senior level architects, AWS, and I loved tech, and I loved tech's ability to solve problems that were happening within the business and in the world. But I'll talk a little bit more about my itch to kind of jump into something larger and explore this crazy, wild world of entrepreneurship. But I took the leap of faith 2.5 years ago, and since then I've been able to build multiple 6-figure profiting projects completely from the ground up, partnering with other founders that were just starting these projects, and I'll talk more about those. And I've been able to generate over 800 million organic video views on socials. And I see socials is spelled incorrect, which is probably having Abe, bringing Abe some emotion. So I'll be sure to correct that on the next one. I've also been 7.5 years sober. So this is a big part of my journey, which I'll talk more about. And I've been able to help organize, lead, and run over 5 global retreats with the different people that I partner with. So yeah, I did 10 years in corporate, and while I was working in corporate, I was also doing photography and wedding photography on the side. So on the weekends, I was doing live event photography, shooting photos for musicians, and was going on different weekend tours, and always just had the creative itch. And then I even got into wedding photography, but simultaneously, I was always just kind of, also climbing the corporate ladder. I felt like my destiny, or what I was instilled upon me family value wise, was to, go to college and, get a good paying corporate job. So that's what I did. And honestly, for many of those years, I felt really fulfilled doing it. I felt like I got to work with a lot of really powerful mentors and work on a lot of really amazing projects. And I really liked working at Vanguard specifically because I judge that they're a very mission driven company. So it's always been important for me to work somewhere that's very mission driven. And then jumping into the wild, wild west of creative entrepreneurship the past 2.5 years, I've been able to work with amazing creatives, so musicians, so help musicians build personal brands and create content and create structure around their project and business. I've also been able to work with spiritual leaders and healers and teachers to help them bottle up their gifts, take them online, grow community, and also grow their in-person offerings as well. And a big thing that I was seeking when looking to leave corporate was time and location freedom. And that was something that I've been able to achieve, is like being able to have time and location freedom to go where I want, when I want, and spend as much time in nature as I want. And those things are really important to me. My wife and I, this is my wife up here on the left, like her and I love to travel. This is up in Maine with our dog, Sophie. And I'm just so grateful for the business that I've built and that I'm able to create what I'm able to remotely from anywhere. So talking a little bit more about the projects that I've built, I'll dive into those in a little bit more detail. And you can also, message me if you're curious more about the projects that I've built, but I do want to make sure that we have some time to really dive into today's agenda. But like I said, I've been able to work with spiritual teachers, healers, online coaches, musicians, and pretty much what I've realized, especially the past 6 months of that, as I've really honed in on who my ideal client is. My ideal client is someone that's creative, that is on the spiritual path, and feels this calling to help other people with their gifts. That's really my ideal client. So whether you're doing coaching or you're building a product or a service, those are the type of people that I thrive working with. And then like I mentioned, and I'll talk about, more of my experience with this, here in these next couple slides, but I've been fully free of all mood and mind altering substances for over 7.5 years. So back when I was still working in corporate, I had been struggling with what I would describe as being a weekend warrior for a long time. So I went to Penn State. I graduated from Penn State in 2012. And I don't think I ever really fully successfully transitioned from kind of the college lifestyle of drugs and alcohol into, the corporate persona, being fully responsible adult. It was almost like I was wearing masks. I was two different people. I was someone during the week and in the office, and then I was someone else at night with my friends and on the weekends. And this was actually really confusing for me because I thought I had to maintain this certain persona, during the day, which I kind of did, with the meetings and stuff that I was in corporate. But then, jumping out of corporate the past 2.5 years has really been taking off those masks and just being who I am genuinely and becoming a good person and working through lots of these shadows that I've had, or doubts or fears or issues. And it's been really freeing. And honestly, I wish that for everyone. If anyone still feels they're building a business or working in a corporation or a team where they can't genuinely and authentically be themselves, there's hope. I promise. There's a way. And it's tricky. And it's not easy, and we'll talk about it here on this workshop, but you can find your people. You can find different spaces where you can be your genuine, authentic self and thrive. And me getting sober was a big part of that. So yeah, here's some of the people that I've partnered with. This is one of my best friends here, Jake. We threw a retreat in Costa Rica right up here with 12 people that we took down into the jungle while I was still working in corporate. And I like to talk about this retreat because it was extremely empowering and transformative for me myself, even though I was someone that was helping organize and run this retreat. It was very empowering because I started to see myself as a leader in a way that I never really believed in myself, comparing myself to other leaders in corporate, where I was well, they're responsible adults, and I'm just not really. I'm back when I was, in corporate, I was just kind of most times just feel like a big kid just kind of trying to figure life out. But looking around and having different people that were on this retreat, like asking me like, well, where are we going? What's the itinerary? And we did have like a plan put together, and it was incredible to bring these 12 people into the jungle, take them to some of the most beautiful places in the world. And me, Lauren, and Jake had been going to Costa Rica for years before, and we just wanted to bring other people to experience, you know, the magic there. So it was like a mindfulness, breathwork, meditation, adventure retreat. It was incredible. Here's a retreat that I just did with one of my good friends and a business partner, BC Cerna. Here in the top right, we just did this retreat down in North Carolina that was very playful, fun, and expansive. Here's an organization that I'm a part of in the Philadelphia area. So if you're a man in the Philadelphia area, I'm a leader within an organization called SWET. It's SWET.org. It's an adventure weekend for men that are just seeking community and maybe want to work through some things. Like maybe you're struggling with something and you've tried other modalities and you maybe want to seek, you know, an alternative. Message me about this if you're in the Philadelphia area and looking to dive in. Then here's some retreats that I ran with one of my clients, Igor, who's a spiritual channeler, he just took 30 people to Egypt, you know, and he was able to do that by magnetizing this community that we built for him online. So that's a little bit about my story. So again, just to kind of like tap back into the agenda, I'm just going to run through my story, the power of your story, what is your why, daily practice, some accountability, permission, and community. And before we go any further, I just want to take a minute for us to maybe just like if you're working on something else right now and like you're here and like you're typing and you're looking at another screen and you're like doing other stuff, if you're able to and you're not driving, if you could just like take your hands off the keyboard. And if you're not driving, if we could maybe just take a minute right now to just like close our eyes and relax. We're just literally just going to take a minute right now to just really become present with like where we are right now. So if you're able to safely close your eyes, I would just invite you to close your eyes. And if you have any, you know, trauma around closing your eyes, just, you know, close them as much as you feel comfortable closing them. And we're just going to take a little time right now to relax and become present. And we're not going to do some advanced meditation or crazy breath work or anything like that. We're just going to literally just pay attention to our breath and relax. You can relax your shoulders. You know, a lot of us, our shoulders are like super tense. Like we're in the middle of a work day maybe right now. Maybe you're trying to figure out how to survive, how to grow your business, how to get more clients. Like you don't have to do that right now while you're on this call. You can just like relax your shoulders. You can then relax your jaw. You're safe here. Just focus on your breath. If you want to try breathing in through your nose gently, you can breathe in through your nose and out your mouth. And we'll just do that 5 times, just on your own pace, in through your nose and out your mouth. All right, if you've done your breaths, you can just gently start to open your eyes and just kind of come back to wherever you are. Just kind of recalibrate a little bit, and you're safe here, you're good here. All right. Well, I feel like that was good for me. Like I feel more present too. Like I'm feeling more present. I feel a little bit more relaxed. Like that felt good. So thanks for going on that little mini journey with me. So Some people may recognize this visual if you've heard of Simon Sinek. He's a pretty popular, like best-selling author, thought leader. And I read this book of his maybe like 6 months ago or so. And I actually had this as my phone background for 3 months. And I would look at this every single day, this visual. And essentially, like my interpretation of what the visual represents is like our why and why we're doing what we're doing is really important to be at the center of everything else that we're doing. And this is really important for me, especially as an entrepreneur, because there's so many days where things can feel overwhelming and confusing and not making enough progress. And if you're early on in the season of building your business, financial scarcity can be a real thing. Like time can be such a constraint. There's all these constraints around us pursuing our passions. And in my experience, really getting clear and taking the time to like evaluate and be really crystal clear on my why has been essential for me to keep going. And my why has changed a bit over the years, you know, but at the core of it, I've always just like really wanted to help as many people as I can, which is like too broad of a mission statement, you know, especially when you're building a business or looking to offer services or creating a product. Really getting clear on your why is so powerful. And Simon, throughout this book, talks so much about different businesses over time and ones that have thrived that were really clear on their why, as opposed to others that have like really fallen to the wayside or haven't survived because they weren't really clear on their why. They were more of just like a commodity, you know, we're just like in it to make money. And it's just like without having like a super clear why and a mission, it's easy to just kind of fall off. And bringing that back to being an entrepreneur, that's been extremely true for me. So then figuring out the how and the what, that's what I love helping people do. It's like, okay, you're clear on your why. And some of the people that I partner with help people get clear on their why. And that's why I love partnering with different people. Like if someone's clear on their why, I really love helping them from a business perspective figure out how and what to do with that why to bring their vision to life and thrive in this online virtual video business building space. So I wanted to offer a couple practices that we will certainly not be doing today, but I put some QR codes up here for 2 different practices that have been absolutely instrumental in my personal development. So when I talk about a daily practice, and if you don't currently have a daily practice, I promise you, no matter what excuses or what you have going on in your life, you can create time to have a daily practice. And it can be a 5 to 10 to 15 minute practice. And I think it's really overwhelming to not have any type of daily practice and to try to like have someone force on you that you should take an hour out of your day every day to sit there and meditate. Like that's not what I'm saying. You know, I'm saying it's been instrumental for me in the beginning when I had no experience with meditation, no experience with breath work, to just take 5 to 10 minutes to just be with myself and just center up for my day. I think this is like extremely, extremely important as an entrepreneur. So if you've never meditated like ever before, or if you were like me, you know, before I started my spiritual journey or sobriety journey, which are kind of one and the same, I was like, I can't meditate. You know, I can't sit with myself for a minute. You know, I got stuff to do, you know? And then when I sit down and I close my eyes and try to like sit there with myself, I have all these crazy thoughts that pop up, you know? I'm just like, what? Oh my God, I got to do this. I got to do that. What about, you know, the kids, you know, the school, the thing, the money, the bank, is the stove on? It's like my mind would just be crazy, it felt, you know? And what I realized was, most of my life and what I was doing was to like keep myself distracted from myself, to just like, oh, stay busy, I'm staying productive, but never really actually taking the time to sit with myself and be with myself. And honestly, like what I came to realize was that I was scared to sit with myself. I was scared to sit with my thoughts. I was scared to sit with my doubts. I was scared to sit with my fear. But this video over here on the right is a video. It's just a 15-minute meditation by a guy named Alan Watts. And if you've never heard of Alan Watts, he's a really amazing person to just kind of like Google, like search on YouTube and like listen to his stuff. He had like a profound impact when I was really early on in my spiritual journey. And I love this meditation specifically because it's pretty short. It's just like 13 minutes or something like that. And I think he does the best job that I've ever found yet to date of walking someone through that's never really meditated before, like what meditation is, like during this meditative process. So when I was like trying to figure out how to meditate, I would listen to this video every single day for like 2 years. I listened to this video every single day for like 2 years. And this video in and of itself was my entire meditation practice for a while. And it really helped me. So if anyone like feels called to like explore meditation for themselves, I highly recommend this video. It's free. And and if you do try it, I would love to hear your experience. So then my practice started to evolve from that, where I was like, okay, like, this practice of like sitting with myself, what I noticed was I was able to be like more present throughout my day. I was less anxious. I felt less kind of like monkey mind. I was able to focus more on my tasks just simply by taking time to just meditate. And this isn't like woo-woo, like hippie, whatever you may think if you've never done meditation before. This is really powerful practices that entrepreneurs will benefit from doing this, So then another practice that I started doing really consistently, I did this practice for a year and a half every single morning. It was a practice by my brother, Jacob, who I showed you a few slides ago. He runs a studio here in the Philadelphia area called Cocoon Philly. And this is a 14-minute video. It's not yoga. You don't need to be fit. It's not yoga in the sense of like he's going to have you doing like downward dogs and doing these poses. It's none of that, because I know so many people have resistance towards like, I'm not going to do yoga. It's not that. You literally just like sit down in the position that he's in, and he walks you through a series of breathing techniques and really simple movement techniques that you can do sitting. So I highly recommend checking out this 14-minute video by my brother, Jacob Ellis. You can just scan this code right here. And it's free on YouTube. And then another piece of my daily practice is I take another like 15 minutes after doing one of these like meditations or breathwork practices that I usually do for like 15, 20 minutes. And then I either listen to something like motivational or inspiring on YouTube. So I like take 10 to 15 minutes while I'm making like my morning drink and I'm like recalibrating after my practice to listen to something motivational. I really like Abraham Hicks. If you haven't heard of Abraham Hicks, that's like another really interesting person to search on YouTube and just like listen to those videos. But I love what comes through the Abraham Hicks videos. They really like help inspire me and get, motivated in the morning. Or I'll take some time to read. So I'll take 10 to 15 minutes to read. And if you're an entrepreneur and you've bought into the idea that you need to grow a personal brand to grow your business, I highly recommend also reading for 10 to 15 minutes a day, even to inspire a content idea. So whether it be a post on LinkedIn or a video that you're creating, sometimes it can feel really heavy to, oh man, I need to make a piece of content for today. And there's like all this like pressure that comes along with that. So sometimes just reading for 10 to 15 minutes can really help, motivate you to create some content. So this is something that I've really dove into the past 6 months and realized with the more clients that I work with, it's so essential. It's been essential for me with building, my business. My business is partnering with other people to help them build their businesses though. Like that's what I do. What I've realized that it's so essential to have a plan and have accountability. And to me, now with the journey that I've been on and the amount of people that I've helped, this seems like a really basic fundamental, to have a plan with your business and have someone to hold you accountable. But it continues to fascinate me that the majority of the entrepreneurs or creatives that I meet with, or different people that are seeking potentially to work with me, or that I meet with in groups like this, they actually don't have a plan. Like, they don't have a plan with what they're doing. Like, they have like an idea and they're like trying to figure it out, but they don't actually have a plan. And like, the more that I work with different people, I've learned not to take, I guess, what you could call like business intelligence, like, for granted, as far as like my experience with like working on big projects and helping build businesses. It's like some of these things that are like maybe business fundamentals to some of us could be like completely foreign for others. And what I find is that a lot of people that I work with or talk to are just trying to figure it all out on their own, and they feel stuck. And I've never met a single person that's achieved a level of financial stability with the project that they're building that's been able to accomplish it fully on their own. Never met a single person. Like, not one. So if you're trying to just like figure it all out on your own and like you continue to feel stuck, I would encourage you to become courageous and open-minded enough to ask for support and find different people that are doing what you're doing in the way that you want to do it, and see if there's a way that they're open to supporting you. And another huge thing that I've realized recently, and I've been loving confronting people on this recently. It's become actually one of my favorite things to do. And it could sound a little cynical maybe, but so many of the people that I'm working with are so busy working on their business. And when I like dive into the things that they're working on, those things that they're working on aren't actually growing their business. Like, they're working on all of these Canva documents. They're using all of these like tools. They're like trying to figure out how to build websites. Like, they're trying to do all these things that they think that they need to do to grow their business. But then when I just kind of like ask simple questions about like the timelines around that and the results that it's helping them achieve, and like, well, like, what's making you pursue doing that? Like, are you like following like a blueprint? Like, have you done this before? Like, why are you focusing on that task? And most times they honestly don't have an answer. They're honestly like, I don't know. I just like thought that's what I needed to do right now, And some of these things will get them hung up for months without actually generating additional revenue. And if you're someone that is working another job and this like is a dream of yours to like kind of do this thing, and like you are like working another job to help support it, that's beautiful. I did that for many, many years, and no judgment towards that in any way whatsoever. Actually, I would highly encourage that, because I think it's like super scary and sketchy to like really bet on yourself the way that I did, with like no plan and just like try to figure it out. There was many weeks where I was working 60 to 70 hours a week and was super unhealthy, wasn't going to the gym, wasn't going to nature. I looked really sketchy. I was like 30 pounds heavier than I was now. My facial hair was sketchy. My hair was weird. Like, I was in like a weird space and I didn't even know it, but I was just like, well, I just got to figure this all out. I left my corporate job. Like, I can't let my wife down. Like, what are my parents going to think if I fail? And it was the completely incorrect way for me to be building and pursuing what I was passionate about. It was a horrible vibration to be on, and I would like never recommend that to anyone. And one of the other things that I've realized lately is, especially with people that are in the season of building a business where you're trying to generate like your first 5 to 10K a month, which for some people, to them right now, that might sound like I would be like rich. if I could have 5 to 10K a month? Like, having worked with people that are consistently making 20, 30, 40K a month and helping different people like that with their businesses, I promise you, you do not need all of these fancy systems to generate $5,000 to $10,000 a month. You do not need the systems that the people that you're following, the people that may be mentoring you, are using. You don't. You really don't. And I can promise you this because I've like demystified this for many people over the past few months, and we just really hone in on getting clear on what your offer is. Like, what is your offering? What are you offering? What is your product? What is your service? What are you offering? And that you can use ChatGPT, you can use tools. There's frameworks from digital marketers and people like Alex Hormozy and Russell Brunson that you can like use ChatGPT sessions with to like really get clear on your offer. Because what I've realized is so many entrepreneurs and creatives that I work with, and also me myself for like 4 or 5 months, I was like, well, I don't really know like exactly who I want to help. Like, I can help so many people in so many ways, you know, like how do I put that into an offer? I don't want to like push away some people because I'm like saying I only want to work with these types of people. And that's all totally fair. But I swear, if you're in that like 5 to 10K a month season, really getting clear on your offer. And then this may be a big surprise to you, but if you're a solopreneur, you need to become amazing at sales. If you do not want to become good at sales, you need to hire a sales team or go get another job. You need to be good at sales if you want to grow a solopreneur business. And this is something that I had a ton of resistance towards. Like, I don't want, like, because when I think of sales, I think of like used car salesmen. And if anyone in here is currently selling used cars, like, no disrespect, but like a lot of like used car salesmen that I've met, it's very transactional, it's very manipulative. They're trying to just get what they want from you, regardless of what you actually need, and trying to make as much money doing it. And there's a lot of people that sell that way, you know, there's a lot of people that operate in this space selling that way. But I promise you that isn't the only way to do sales. You can do sales in a way where you really care about the person that you're going to potentially sell your product or service to. You're really making sure that they're a good fit to work with you and your experience aligns with what they're looking for support with. And then like the one tidbit that I'll like say as far as like the sales piece, and I partner with a sales coach who's incredible. So if you're like ever looking for any support on like this type of stuff, I'm not like the sales guru. Like, I've needed so much help like figuring out how to do sales and what I would call like a soulful way, call it like soulful sales. I partner with an amazing sales coach, and one thing that's been so powerful and what's allowed me to really like sell a lot more people on like my products and services that I offer is I used to talk like 90% of the conversation when I was like trying to sell someone something. And now I talk like 5% of the conversation. And what I really do is open up the space of the person that I'm talking to and just like ask them what their problems are. Like, what are your problems? What are your blockages? And that question in and of itself, someone, if they feel safe, you know, with you, will give you all the information that you need to figure out if they're a good fit for your products or service, and if you'd be excited to work with them. So again, this isn't like a sales training, but this is kind of like popping up for me right now because this has been so essential to the people that I've worked with lately, because you can have the most amazing content, you can have all these fancy funnels, you can have an email list of 10,000 people, but if you're not clear on your offer and how to sell it when you speak with someone about it, all that other stuff won't actually help you grow your business. And I'm not saying there's like no point in doing the content and being motivational and helping people, because there's so much value in that. But if you're looking to generate revenue and make a living from what you're doing, you really have to know how to sell. Okay, so permission. This is a really interesting one. So one of my business partners, I forget who he maybe heard this from, but he refers to this a lot. The fact that no one is coming to save you. No one's coming to save you with the problems that you're facing as a solopreneur. And some of us may already know that, but there's this kind of like mystical way of thinking that a lot of people find themselves in, where it's like, oh, well, like I'm working on this thing, and if I just figure out how to do these parts of it, then like someone will see what I have and like come in, and then they'll want to like invest, and then they'll give me the resources that I actually need. Of all the people that I've worked with, that's never happened to any of them. So not to say that wouldn't happen if you're like consistently creating content and attracting people to what you're doing, that other people would be interested in what you're doing and looking to invest. I'm not saying that's impossible. But the fact that when I started to realize that no one was coming to save me and no one was going to give me permission to charge what I'm worth for my services, how do I price my services? Like I was never able to figure that out on my own. You know, I was working with people for free for a while and working with like the wrong types of people for a long time. And I just like wanted to help people. And I was like, well, I need to just like get better at all of this so I can, you know, figure like how I can charge someone this amount of money. And I don't even know, I was like delusionally like waiting, like thinking that someone was going to give me permission. And it wasn't until I started investing into business coaching, mastermind groups, like seeing how other people were building businesses with the products or services that I was offering, where I was like, wait a second, like they're only a couple steps ahead of me and they're charging what? They're charging what for that? And then seeing, well, if they can charge that and I can do what they're doing, or maybe even better than they're doing, I could charge that too. So having like a mentor or a business mastermind group or someone else to give you permission to charge that thing, to build that thing, has been essential. And so many people, including myself as solopreneurs, like early on in my journey, were just like whittling away, you know, just like trying to figure it all out, like thinking that someone might come save us. Community. Oh my God. Like, I'm honestly not sure I would be alive right now without community, which I know is a bold statement, but like especially when I first got sober, you know, community and going around communities of people that were on a similar journey was so essential for me to just be around other people that were living a life that I aspired to have, that were feeling okay, that were talking about when they weren't feeling okay and learning how to work through that. Like that aspect of community, I'm obsessed with. So I'm a part of Thrive. I'm a part of another community that some people here are from called Pursuing Purpose, that I help run over here with BC Cerna in the top right. And I'm a part of a weekly men's yoga alliance in Philadelphia here in the top left, where we meet every week at Cocoon Philly for yoga. And we're actually expanding that community to start to include some online offerings as well. So even if you're not in Philly, but you're interested in tapping more into yoga, I'm a part of that community. And like I said, I've helped run, you know, these different global retreats, and community has been so essential to just have. I'll put it this way. It's so important to have community where people aren't expecting something of me, or it's purely transactional. And sometimes I think some of these business networking groups can be like a little bit of both, you know, like you're here to like meet some people and can you help them? Other people are here to just, you know, the kindness of their heart. You know, finding community where it's non-transactional and people just genuinely care about you, that's been so essential for me. And I've had to pay like thousands of dollars to be a part of some of those communities where it's just like, hey, like we're all working on businesses and growing in this way, and we help build and lift each other up. Not trying to cross sell each other. We're all kind of working on the same thing. And that's been so instrumental, mostly to just see other people, like I had mentioned, that are building something similar to what I'm building, seeing what they're charging, seeing the discipline that's required for them to continue to build their business, seeing how they're hiring people. That's been a big edge for me lately. So I've like worked with different contractors and hired different contractors and managed them, but like building teams and organizations around me is a bit of an edge for me. So like seeing how what are other people's processes for hiring, what staffing agencies are they using? Like there's so many resources and so much time that you can save yourself by investing into working with a coach like myself, joining a business mastermind community that's led by someone that you've been following. But another thing that I would tell people to be cautious of is there's a lot of people with these huge followings that are selling these like high ticket group coaching programs, where you get access to the different systems that they're using and these really elaborate Notion documents and ChatGPT prompts and all this pre-recorded material. And it could be $5,000, it could be $10,000. But what I've realized is like having gone through a few of those programs myself, it actually didn't help me work through the current blockage that I was facing. It actually overwhelmed me even more, where I was like, oh my God, this is all this like other stuff that I have to do to actually make this, a profitable business. So if anyone's like invested in those types of programs and you've gotten like knowledge and value from them, like I have too. But the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing right now is because I've needed someone to like go on the ride with me, like one-on-one, understand my story, believe in me, hold me accountable. When I'm having different blockages, whether it be tech or knowledge or personal development, like they're there with me and they have the experience and they'll help do things that I'm getting stuck on. They're like, hey man, I got you. Like I can help you with that. And that's the mission that I've been on lately, blending like what I've learned with all my agency services and kind of being in this coaching world. I have this like really unique offering, I judge, where I like work with people in their business, and some people that are here that are part of Thrive, like it might be familiar with terms like fractional CMO and like having someone come into your business that's really on your team and builds with you. And I love doing that with people. And like what I realized is like someone's like, oh, I need a social media manager, but it's like what they actually need is like a therapist and a CMO and a chief revenue officer. And they're like, well, if I could just figure out how to like consistently post on LinkedIn, and like no disrespect, but I like when I actually like get behind the scenes with people's businesses, I love being able to, apply the experience that I've learned, create a custom plan, be able to hold them accountable. And it's just been super, super empowering. So that ends today's workshop or webinar for me. You can just like search my name, Chaz Bademan, on all platforms. You can go to this website, chazbademan.com, where you can watch like a 30-minute video about my whole story and how I've helped people in more detail. You can scan this QR code. And if you're ever feeling alone or stuck on your business journey, like anyone that's on this call right now, you can book a call with me, like a half-hour call, totally for free. I promise on that call, I will not try to sell you anything. If you just want, someone to talk to, you can book a link. You can book a call with me using the link that's at the top of my website right there. And I'd love to just like chat with you and see where you're at.